Hello, my name is Matt, and I've decided to start a series called No Apologies Necessary. Uh, Full disclosure, I've never filmed myself. I never thought I would be, and if it's not as smooth as it should be, I apologize for that. But I will always be honest and truthful about everything that's going on here. So, what this is going to be a series talking about society, and that could range from political views, political parties, gender views, religion. Really gloves off. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. And as time goes on, you can send me comments, and I'm more than happy to talk about them or talk about them with you and others. So I'm doing this because I feel like as a society, we're just so divided, and there's really no reason for it. We should be working together and for common goals. We'll get into that. My background is I grew up in a regular suburbia situation. Dad worked, mom stayed home. I had one sibling, and we grew up with a core value in our house that we had to think for ourselves. Now, this got us into trouble quite often as children, against our parents, against teachers, all kinds of stuff. But the one thing that my parents would always support is if we stood up for ourselves and had a good argument, a good reasons to fight for what we were fighting for, however small or large the fight was. My dad has, although we had our daily regular house rules, my dad had three fundamental rules that we would wear our seatbelts, wear condoms, and always vote. Now, the first two are pretty self-explanatory. However, the third one, it wasn't that we had to vote the way my parents wanted us to vote, the way my dad wanted us to vote. It was that we had to vote. We had to have our opinion. We had to be educated on the situation at hand and make decisions based on our own conscience, on our own feelings of what was right or wrong. We never would have been ostracized or criticized for having a separate opinion from my parents. Now, with that said, there were many situations growing up. Maybe we can get into all the short stories later, but where I found this to be fairly valuable and sometimes overly combative for the average person. But I can assure you that I'm never going to fight a fight maliciously. I'm never going to debate at the person. I will always discuss the issues at hand. It is not personal, and nor should anybody take anything I'm saying personal. It's opinion, and everybody has the right to their own opinion. And if you'd like to share your opinion with me, I would love to hear it, whether it's similar to my opinion or the complete opposite of my opinion. That would be fun. Let's chat. Let's rap. Let's do it. Let's debate. Let's get it all out on the table. So, as I said, we're going to talk about a lot of sensitive issues. I think the thing that we all need to do to really bring each other together, bring America back together, society back together, as we know it, is to talk about things that are uncomfortable. And I think that something we don't value enough is that if we talk about the uncomfortable enough, it becomes comfortable. And we can talk about things, and you don't have to categorize me or stereotype me because of my values, because I believe that there's a middle ground in every conversation. There's a middle ground in respect, and there's a middle ground in pretty much everything that revolves around society, and that we can meet in the middle. Like, I'll give you a good example, is that when I first registered to vote, again, back to one of the three rules, is that my dad told me, well, I asked him, I was 18, I had to register to vote for my first time. I didn't know how to fill out the ballot card, all that stuff, like how to register to vote. And it asked me for my party, and I asked my dad. I was like, well, what should I put down here? And he goes, well, he explained to me the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, the Liberal Party, and I chose Liberal Party. And because I thought, well, I don't agree with the Democrats and some stuff, and I don't agree with the Republicans and some stuff, so I'll be liberal, which I thought was in the middle, but as we'll get into with one of the episodes that we have coming up, is that there are differences in all of that, and they have impacts in many facets of our democracy. And so our voting, our poll station was in a retirement community that I had delivered papers actually to in the first, when I was about, I don't know, 11, 12 years old. But that was the first place I voted, was at this retirement center. And it was, needless to say, pushing that age, retirement center, there's not much going on. And it was absolutely the local excitement that they were in charge. They could do they were there to take our votes, and they were giving their part in America. And I think that, so I go in there, and they're asking me, they're like, okay, so you go in and you have to claim your party. And so it was my first time voting. My dad's with me, hand on the shoulder. He's like, I'm proud of you, son, and so when I announced, I said, well, liberal. And so they go, we got a liberal. It went like wildfire through the whole retirement center, and that it was in their banquet hall or whatever, and everybody's yelling it out. My dad I could see he was seeing red in hindsight. He was just so upset that it's not public information. It's your privacy to vote how you want to vote, and he was trying to teach me how it all goes down. But it really stuck with me is how much he inspired me to just do what I want to do. To be honest with you, I don't really have a party that I'm connected to at this point in time. Just as a side note to telling you that I registered as a liberal, I think that there's a lot of gray to that. But that's just an example of what I want to talk about in this series, is that let's make the uncomfortable comfortable. And by doing that, we might be able to see through the social categories that we seem to be putting ourselves in for protection. Not so much even, it's more like a necessity, you have to stick together, birds of the feather flock together. But what if we all just kind of work together and moved on from that? So I guess the first series that I want to put out, by the time we get to the end of it, talking about these topics, we'll get to the point where I can present the idea of this middle party of politics. We can, there is such thing as a conservative Democrat, and there's such thing as a liberal Republican. And in my eyes, there's not much difference between the two, is that it's a middle party. And I think that if there wasn't so much peer pressure in the society of our democracy and the daily lives of our society as just individuals, not in our democracy, just people that walk and talk every day doing their daily lives, there's middle ground in every environment. And I think that we should start talking about that. So with that said, and my apologies again, this is my first time doing this, so feel free to comment. No apologies necessary. We're on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, not Facebook, not too into that. Maybe that'll be a topic we can talk about at some point. But really would love to get into some conversations regarding this, and looking forward to talking to you next time. So have a good one.